So a scathing report from Ontario's Auditor General is now raising serious concerns about the influence of a small group of developers on the plan to open the Greenbelt around Toronto to build some housing.
The process was biased in favor of certain developers and landowners who had timely access to the Housing Minister's Chief of Staff.
Bonnie Lysyck's report found the Ford government allowed developers to influence decisions in converting that protected Greenbelt land worth billions of dollars into potential housing property sites. With a closer look at reaction to the report and what happens next, we're joined by the Globe and Mail's Laura Stone. She's in Honey Harbour, Ontario this morning. Good morning, Laura.
Good morning, Anne-Marie.
Okay, so the Auditor General's team says there was no evidence that this land swap was needed to solve the housing crisis and that a shortage of land did not seem to be the issue in this report. It says 92% of that land converted was made up of 5 sites recommended by the developing groups. And all of those sites combined stand to increase a value of about $8.3 billion. There are calls this morning for the housing minister to resign. Ford has responded saying his government's not going to apologize for trying to do what they're supposed to, which is solve the housing crisis. What's the potential political fallout for the Ford government here?
Anne-Marie, I think the political fallout here could be huge for the Ford government. First of all, they have to face voters in 2026. And if you'll recall, Premier Doug Ford back in before the 2018 election had spoken to a group of developers, said he was going to open the Greenbelt. Then he reversed that and said he will not open the Greenbelt. And of course, we've seen his government go back on that promise to voters. And as you mentioned, Premier Ford and his cabinet have said they need to do this in order to build housing. But I think this report has landed like a bombshell in the eyes of some voters and members of the public who view the influence of developers on this government as far too far-reaching and have a lot of questions about how this took place. And as you mentioned, some of these developers are set to make billions of dollars off of this land. There could be fallout as well from an integrity commissioner's report. We know that J. David Wake, the integrity commissioner of Ontario, is also looking into the Greenbelt decision, and he is going to probe. He has been asked to probe further the role of the housing minister's chief of staff in making these decisions. And of course, we know that that this matter has been referred to the OPP Anti-Rackets Division. We don't know yet if they're investigating. We haven't heard an update on that, but there's definitely lots of interest both in the public, among environmentalists, the opposition, and we know that the Auditor General herself spoke to the OPP about this matter during the course of her report.
Obviously, she's concerned there. Premier Ford and the Housing Minister, Steve Clark, they held that press conference shortly after the Auditor General's report. I want to play a little bit in case anyone missed it.
Folks, you know, this is about process. We're going to correct the process.
Is it just about process, Laura?
Well, Anne-Marie, the government would like to make it about the process, right? They kept talking about the fact, that this had to move so quickly. We know through the course of the report that this Greenbelt decision to open up these 15 plots of land happened within a 3-week span and moved incredibly quickly. We saw the influence that the housing minister's chief of staff had throughout this process. He was the one essentially directing a group of public servants on which land plots to open up. The public and the opposition was led to believe that this was the public service that had actually come up with the land, but no, in fact, it was driven by the housing minister's own top staffer. So the government has said that they are going to accept 14 of the 15 recommendations from this Auditor General's report around consultation, around how the government deals with bureaucracy. But the key one that the government will not accept is revisiting this, the reopening of the Greenbelt. They're going to forge ahead with this land swap. The government says they need to do this in order to build housing, even though the Auditor General said, no, you actually have enough land already to do this. The government says, no, that's changed. We have many more people coming to Ontario. So they're going to forge ahead with their plan. So while they're accepting a majority of the recommendations, the key one to actually revisit and stop this Greenbelt land swap will not be followed through on by the government.
Lots more to dig into on this story. Laura Stone, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks so much, Anne-Marie.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.